Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. So today I wanted to have a bit of fun and talk about my Shakespeare collection because of course I have one. If you have not already seen my video about my Hamlet collection specifically, I will link that at the end of this video. So this is not going to include most of my Hamlet stuff. That is going to be with that other video. This is everything else Shakespeare that was not covered in that previous video in honor of Laertes, the Hamlet retelling. It's dark academia set in the 1920s from Laertes' point of view. Coming out with a special edition through Barnes & Noble with an extra chapter from Ophelia's POV, as well as some beautiful illustrations. So you can pre-order that now. It's the one with it's the hardcover with the white cover on the front. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. So I'm going to start off with the DVDs that I own. Yes, I am a woman in my 30s and I still have DVDs. Do I watch them these days? No, I watch streaming stuff, but I still do have some Shakespeare DVDs. So the 12th Night with Helena Bonham Carter and Imogen Stubbs is really good, and so I have that. The classic Much Ado About Nothing. How could you not have the Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson? I mean, this has everybody. Denzel Washington. Yes, so Much Ado About Nothing. I have all of the Hollow Crown movies as well. So these are the historical plays of Shakespeare. So it starts with Richard II and goes through Henry IV, the Fifth. And then this one is Henry VI and Richard III. Tom Hiddleston is just a revelation as Henry V. And those two Hamlets, which I showed in a previous video. Okay, obviously I have some other funky things too. This is Shakespeare's Henry VIII, but it's one of those fake box things. I have Lady Macbeth Guest Soap, which is just one of my favorites. I mean, look at that. Everything is hilarious. Let me try to zoom that in a little bit. It's hard to see. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from your hand? Will it ever? So yes, this is just one of the best things. It's by Unemployed Philosophers Guild, and they actually used one of my photos for their promos for that. Shakespearean insult bandages. So these are literal bandages that you can use, and they have insults on them. So there's that. Shakespearean insult gum, which I obviously have not chewed, but if you hear it, it sounds like the sort of cheap round gum. I wanted it more for just if you open it, then it's an insult to somebody. I think that's hilarious. Okay, next I have a big old collection of Dover thrift editions from high school and college that I got while I was studying Shakespeare. So some of the covers are not the same as they were when I was in school, and the books are not quite as cheap, but Dover thrift editions are amazing because they are so cheap and unabridged. They don't have a lot of notes or anything, but if all you want is the text, a copy of the play, then there you have it. So I've got Much Ado, King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, Twelfth Night. There's a playbill in there for a Twelfth Night that I played a teeny tiny part in college. I also have Edward III, which is a contested play by Shakespeare. People aren't 100% sure that it was him. Some think that it was kind of cobbled together with some of his stuff and some other people's stuff. But I saw this one in Stratford-upon-Avon when I was 14, so that is where I got this from, which is cool. And then probably the world's most hideous copy of Macbeth, and I got it because it's so hideous and horrifying. I have a couple other copies here from college. Once again, there's Othello, there's King Lear. Let's see, on the pile I have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Dead. I have a couple of Norton Critical editions, which I like for their thoroughness of scholarship, or maybe not thoroughness, but there is more scholarship at the end. There are source materials, there are critical essays, things like that. So I have Macbeth and I have Tempest with the Norton Critical editions. And then in that same pile on my shelf, I have I, Iago by Nicole Galland, which I've talked about a little bit on this channel, but I have not talked about it enough. This retelling of Othello is just one of the most magnificent things I have ever read. And Nicole Galland, I had the chance to speak to her about the experience of writing this book, and it was really inspiring to me as I was writing Laertes. A few more books and such up next. I have a comic book version of Macbeth that is from like the 60s. Colors are all weird, and it was quite nice of the person to gift it to me. Everybody's haircuts are just peak 60s. I have the Young Person's Guide to Shakespeare, complete with a CD. I got this probably when I was a freshman in high school, and it just it's almost like a DK kind of book about Shakespeare and different productions of his work and Shakespeare's life. It's just a little smattering of different things, and at the time I thought that was very cool. Been a Shakespeare nerd since I was 14, and I read my first, or did I read my first play before that? I think I was 12. I know I've studied it when I was 14, but I had already read several plays. I think I was 12. All right, Shakespeare's Globe Expedition. This is one of those gift books. I got it at the Globe, so there's that. This book I have not actually read. It's Women of Will by Tina Packer, following the feminine in Shakespeare's plays. It sounded really interesting to me, and it was literally at the dollar store, ? I found some really beautiful books at the dollar store, and I'm confused about why they ended up there. But this is on my list to check out at some point. I would like to know. And then I have A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare, 1599, which was just before or as he was starting to write Hamlet. It was a huge turning point in his life. It was the year before that, I think, in 1598, Shakespeare lost his son Hamnet to the plague suddenly. So there was just a lot going on in his life at the time and in London. So this one's by James Shapiro. I anticipated reading this for research for my Laertes, but I didn't really get around to it, and now the book is done and it's out. Okay, none of this is in any particular order. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I have Trader Joe's, Rosencrantz, and Gildan Pop, and I can't remember if I included this in the Hamlet video, but yes, I did pick it up because it's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern reference. I have the card game, Great Shakespearean Deaths. So this is open. I actually did a sort of unboxing of this, but it rates the different Shakespearean deaths based on speed, fairness, piteousness, last words, and you get these really horrible illustrations. My sense of humor is terrible. This I know was not in the Hamlet video because I've gotten it since. This is a mug. It's the Elsinore Fencing Club. A very palpable hit is what it says. Unfortunately, the pattern has kind of faded a little bit. You can tell it's like from my hand where I hold it. So it's kind of not as heat resistant as it should be. I got this from Redbubble and I love the design. It's a reference to the end of Hamlet, of course, if you are a fan. Okay, I got this book, Loving Will Shakespeare. It was at the library, and I think it's like fictionalized Anne Hathaway meets William Shakespeare, which is a little gnarly because in real life he was 18 and she was 26 when they married, and she was already pregnant at the time. And this strikes me as a sort of YA style book, even younger YA, because the words are quite large. But anyhow, we have a Shakespeare romance going on there. We also have Shakespeare murder mysteries. So Much Ado About Murder. It's all new Shakespeare-inspired murder mystery stories by all of these different writers. So I haven't read this yet, but it's another library find that just kind of cracked me up. So yes, I'm all about it. Next, I have Lady Macbeth, which is a novel by Susan Fraser King, which is about more of the historical Macbeths rather than the Shakespearean Macbeths, but you know, it's Macbeth something, so it's a Lady Macbeth, the truer story, but it's definitely fiction as well. Then I got this at school. Somebody randomly gave it to me. It already was all janky, but it is Shakespearean Prince. So you can see it. It's this massive book with these humongous Shakespearean like woodcut type things in there. So I am not entirely sure what to do with this. So it sits in my classroom most of the time. But you have to admit that's like kind of cool, right? Okay, so I recently, over the summer when I was on English Nerd hiatus, I went to Scotland and I got this. This was kind of my big souvenir for myself. It's this bag. Check out that bag. If that does not scream at me, I'm just not sure what does. Even the plays, most of them anyway, are some of my all-time favorite plays. We have Hamlet, we have Macbeth, we have Henry IV, Part 1, Much Ado About Nothing, Othello, you know? So Tempest, so good. Plus you have the ink, you have the flower, the size and everything. I just love. I mean, this is such an amazing bag. I have journals here as well. There's this little brown notebook, Shakespeare in the Globe, which is kind of a journal, just a book with, I don't know, facts and things about the globe throughout, which is interesting, and it has a little tie. I got this at the Globe or right before I went to England the first time when I was 14. Okay, this was a more recent buy. This was in 2018 when I went the second time. So that is Lady Macbeth. I'm not just being morbid. Then I got this for Christmas. I don't even know when. You know, when you're a writer, you have like a million notebooks. Well, somebody got me this William Shakespeare notebook, and it has lines on one side and then kind of place to draw or sketch or make notes on the other side. So that's pretty cool. I didn't bring everything from school that was Shakespeare oriented just because it was kind of impractical, but I have a big poster that is the entire text of Hamlet. I have a different one, big poster that's the entire text of Much Ado About Nothing. I have another one that's just insults. It's kind of like a web of different insults. Right, I have the Little Book of Shakespeare, which is just different quotes based on topics, you know, dreams or what have you. And I have these three cute little tiny Royal Shakespeare Company editions: Othello, Midsummer Night's Dream, Henry V. They are complete plays. They're just teeny tiny. And I have 3 complete works of Shakespeare. One is like this big, but it was hard to track down. The other one's a little bit smaller looking, and then the last is in 4 installments. So with videos like this, I feel like I always end them and think, well, there's more that I totally missed, but I feel like that's probably enough for my Shakespeare collection. Like I said, I am going to have my Hamlet collection video tagged at the end of this one, so you can check that out if you're curious about how deep this rabbit hole goes, because it does. It goes real far. And don't forget to pre-order the Barnes & Noble exclusive illustrated edition of Laertes, a Hamlet retelling. This is the version that's out now. The normal version, it has the black cover. You can get it in paperback or hardcover, but the new edition that's coming out October 22nd is white, only in hardcover and only at Barnes & Noble. So definitely follow me if you're not already, or subscribe, and like this video if you like it.